first. Yeah. Heads up.
Bon après-midi au Théâtre National de Presse à Ottawa. Salut. Hi, folks. My name is Chris Rans. I'm moderating. We have Marc Garneau, the Federal Minister of Transport, joined by Omar Al-Gabra, the Prime Minister's Parliamentary Secretary. And I'll let Mr. Garneau introduce his Deputy Minister group there with him.
We have with us the Deputy Minister from Defense and also the Associate Deputy Minister from Foreign Affairs. Thank you very much. Et bonjour. Thank you, Chris. Bonjour et merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. I would like to begin once again by extending our deepest condolences to everyone who lost family, friends, and loved ones in this tragedy. C'est tout un pays qui pleure la perte de vos proches. Sachez que vous êtes dans nos cœurs et dans nos pensées durant cette période incroyablement difficile. In the wake of this horrific accident, the Government of Canada is sparing no effort to support the victims' families. We are also wasting no time reaching out to our partners to ensure a thorough and credible investigation. Our focus at this time remains closure, accountability, transparency, and justice, including compensation for the families of the loved ones of the victims. Le gouvernement du Canada s'est mobilisé sur plusieurs fronts depuis les événements tragiques de la semaine dernière et nous voulons aujourd'hui donner une mise à jour aux Canadiens. Our government has activated the Emergency Watch Response Crisis Center to help victims' families obtain consular services, including visa applications. We have also deployed 10 standing rapid deployment team members to Tehran and Ankara. Consular officials have also been sent to Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Montreal, and Toronto to support family members of Canadian victims living there. De plus, le Premier ministre Trudeau s'est entretenu aujourd'hui avec le roi de la Jordanie, le prince héritier des Émirats arabes unis et le président de l'Afghanistan. Au cours des derniers jours, il a discuté avec l'émir du Qatar, le président de l'Ukraine, le premier ministre de l'Irak et le premier ministre de la Suède. Le premier ministre a également, bien sûr, tenu plusieurs rencontres avec les familles et les proches des victimes de cette tragédie. De mon côté, j'ai communiqué avec mes homologues de l'Organisation de l'aviation civile internationale ainsi que ceux de la France, de l'Ukraine et des Pays-Bas. Nous avons discuté des différents aspects de cette tragédie et de l'enquête. Tomorrow, Minister Champagne will convene a meeting of the International Coordination and Response Group for Families of Victims of Flight 752 at Canada House in London. Minister Champagne and foreign ministers from Sweden, Ukraine, the UK, and Afghanistan will reaffirm the need for a thorough investigation and discuss how to secure full cooperation from Iranian authorities. Minister Champagne has also been in regular contact with Secretary Pompeo and other foreign ministers. The minister held a call with Iran's foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, to, among other things, stress the need for Iran to grant consular access to Canadian officials so that they can assist the families of the victims in Tehran. We expect full cooperation from Iranian authorities, including Canada's active participation in all aspects of the investigation. Lundi, Cathy Fox, la présidente du Bureau de la sécurité des transports, a effectué une mise à jour concernant le rôle du BST dans l'enquête. 2 enquêteurs du BST sont présentement à Téhéran. Ils ont rencontré des autorités du bureau iranien d'enquête sur les accidents d'avion et ont visité le site de l'écrasement. Today, 2 investigators will examine the wreckage. The TSB is also ready to deploy a second team of investigators to participate in the aircraft recorders download and analysis once we know where that will take place. Our government is calling on Iran to formalize Canada's active participation in this investigation as an accredited representative. As outlined in international protocols established by the ICAO for aircraft investigations, this will grant the TSB all the appropriate rights and privileges. As Kathy Fox said, we know what happened, but we need to know now how and why. Our first priority at this time is supporting the families and friends of the 57 Canadians who lost their lives in this tragedy. While we can't bring back their loved ones, we can make sure that they receive compensation to help them navigate this difficult time. As the Prime Minister has repeatedly said, our goal remains accountability and justice for the families. That means knowing how and why such a tragedy occurred. This government will not rest until we get answers, answers those grieving families deserve. Merci d'être des nôtres. Je vais maintenant passer la parole à mon collègue Omar Alghabra.
Thank you, Minister. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Last week, the Prime Minister entrusted me with the special responsibility of working directly with the families and loved ones of the victims of Flight 752 during this incredibly difficult time. These past few days, I've met with these families, hearing the stories of their loved ones and sharing their grief. It is mine and the government's first priority to ensure that they receive the support they need. With that being said, I have few updates I would like to share with Canadians. First, I'm pleased to announce that Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada is waiving or reimbursing all visa and immigration-related fees for those impacted by this tragedy. Second, we are expediting requests for visa and other required travel documents. While regular application screening still applies, we are able to issue visas to grieving families in a matter of hours instead of weeks. Other needed travel and status documents, such as permanent resident cards and permits, are also being processed much more quickly than they would under normal circumstances. Third, IRCC is also working with its extensive service provider network to seek their help and in coordinating mental health services and assisting faith leaders and other community-based organizations in providing interpretation and translation services as needed. Finally, we are working hard to provide legal resources to grieving families. Families should not feel pressured into making legal claims immediately while they are in mourning and attending to the returning of remains of their lost ones and funeral arrangements. J'aimerais aussi rappeler à tout le monde que la semaine dernière, notre gouvernement a mis en place une ligne téléphonique et une boîte de courrier réservée aux familles pour leur fournir le raisonnement des documents liés à l'immigration. Affaires mondiales Canada est également conçu un site web qui contient des raisonnements sur tout l'aspect du soutien offert aux familles. What happened last week is a national tragedy. Our government will do everything it can to do right by these grieving families. You have my word. Once again, thank you for joining us, and now we'll take your questions.
So, folks, we're expecting about 20 minutes for questions. I do have 10 people on my list, so we'll be using the hand mic, so please, one question, one follow-up. Let's make this move swiftly. So I'll begin by announcing the first person who will ask the question, and I will indicate the second person who will get the question, so that way the microphones can come to you rapidly. So, mais commence avec Alain Bezzetti de Le Devoir. Le deuxième person, c'est Glenn McGregor de CTV National News. Alain?
Oui, bonjour, M. Garneau. Il y a des rumeurs qui ont circulé qu'il y avait peut-être des difficultés à obtenir les dépouilles du régime iranien qui ne reconnaît pas la double citoyenneté, donc qui ne veut pas les laisser sortir, ou qu'il y aurait même des pressions sur les familles des proches pour ne pas parler aux médias, sinon elles ne recevraient pas les dépouilles. Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire à ce sujet? Ces rumeurs sont-elles confirmées?
Je vous dirais ce que le ministre Champagne a dit hier très, très clairement, c'est qu'un Canadien est un Canadien et les victimes qui avaient des passeports canadiens sont des citoyens ou citoyennes canadiens et auront droit à tous les privilèges et tous les droits qui leur incombent parce qu'ils sont des citoyens de notre pays. Et on va s'assurer qu'ils sont traités de cette façon-là par le gouvernement iranien.
Mais ma question, c'est, avez-vous eu des échos, vous, dans vos interactions avec le régime iranien, que c'est effectivement le cas, qu'il y a des pressions?
Non.
Minister Garneau, could you give an update on where we are in the process of repatriating remains of some of the victims? Have any of them been brought home? If so, was that done commercially, or are there plans to bring them back using D&D aircraft? Whether the families will have to pay for this if it's commercial, and maybe Mr. Alghabra, you could talk a little bit about your meetings with the families and what they're telling you about that.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Alghabra.
Thank you. First, let me say that there's a great sense of urgency to help families repatriate their loved ones. In Iranian culture, they buried their loved ones as quickly, in fact, the same day, if not the next day. And I understand that this has been a very difficult process for families. The process of identifying remains is ongoing. So there's still no Canadian has been repatriated yet. We are supporting families to achieve that goal as quickly as possible through the process of identification. And we will support families with whatever challenges or needs they have to repatriate their loved ones.
Minister Garneau, on the scope of the investigation, I mean, there's no mystery here about why this plane crashed. Are you concerned at all that the ICAO rules are limiting the investigators into getting into what really happened and why it happened, who made the decision, the command and control structures in the military, that is going to be outside the purview of the investigation? And because of that, do you feel that there is some other venue that this should be investigated in, International Criminal Court, something like that could look at those kinds of issues that Canada can't get into just with aviation investigation?
I would say to you that the ICAO Annex 13 spells out very clearly the participating countries in this investigation, which is led by Iran, but which has the participation of a number of other countries, the countries that, in fact, Minister Champagne will be meeting with tomorrow. And it is the purpose of this meeting to establish very, very clearly how we will work together internationally to ensure that we answer all of the questions that have to be answered here, and that we then speak with the Iranians to let them know exactly what has to happen. And in this context, I would add that we're going to also include tomorrow Minister Champagne, the Dutch, who, of course, had the experience of going through what happened with MH17. And that inquiry, of course, was a very difficult one, a little over 5 years ago. And there are many lessons to be learned with how they proceeded to undertake the full investigation with a number of countries. So it's very important for us to have that meeting tomorrow, because it will basically achieve consensus amongst the 5 countries that had nationals that lost their life on this tragic flight, but will also make it clear to Iran what we expect to ensure a full investigation.
So the next person to ask a question is Steve Sherriff from Reuters. He is down in the front with the gray blazer, and then it will be Ashley Burke from CBC, who's wearing white beside Tom Perry. So Steve, please.
Thank you, Minister. My question is about the black boxes. I gathered from your introductory statement that we still don't know where those are going to be read. Do you know, whether Canada will be guaranteed access to the black boxes and to reading those black boxes when it is done and when it is determined where that will be done? Have there been any guarantees? I heard you say that Canada is willing to send over specialists for that, but has that possibility been accepted by the Iranians?
So just to back up a little bit, the black boxes are with Iran, which is leading the investigation, and what we have been told by the Iranians is that we will be allowed to participate in not only the decoding of the boxes, but also the analysis. That remains to be seen because that has not happened yet, but that is why we want to be an accredited, or why the Transportation Safety Board needs to be an accredited participant in this. We will, or they will rather, the Transportation Safety Board, they have two people standing by who are experts in black box analysis, who are waiting to go to where those black boxes are going to be decoded, opened up, if you like, and the data made available. And we're standing by at the moment to find out where that is going to happen. We have not had that signal. The Transportation Safety Board, of course, is the expert body that will be participating, and they are waiting to hear from the Iranians as to where those boxes will be.
And my follow-up would be, given that we know the cause of the plane coming down, what kind of information can the black boxes provide to investigators?
There's a great deal of data that we do not have at the moment. One is, as you know, one of the black boxes is a voice recorder, and so there's important information on the voice recorders, and also the technical data with respect to the aircraft itself in the other black box. And those will, we believe, give us a much more precise understanding of exactly what happened. Yes, we can say a missile struck the airplane, so we know why the plane was brought down, but we don't know anything about after that happened. And as you know, if you looked at the radar, the airplane did continue in a loop before it tragically impacted the ground. What was happening during that time? Where did the impact occur? These are questions that the families of the victims want answers to, and it is something that Canadians want answers to as well.
Next is Ashley Burke of the CBC, followed by Michelle Lamarche of TVA.
Minister Garneau, Iran has made a number of arrests in connection to downing this plane. How confident are you that Iran will hold those who are truly responsible to account? And if you have concerns, what are they?
From our perspective, what is critical at this point on behalf of the families of the victims is to have a thorough investigation. That thorough investigation, if it is allowed to move forward, and we shall see in the days and weeks and months to come, if it is allowed to go forward properly, as we hope it will be, will explain exactly what happened, and then it will allow us to talk about the issue of justice, as well as compensations for the victims, but the issue of justice is very central to the investigation itself. So we will see in the days to come, but I think that we will be sending very strong messages to Iran after the meeting tomorrow in London. And the President Rouhani has made some comments to the effect that they want to cooperate, but of course the question on everybody's mind is, will they deliver on that promise? And that is what we will be there to make sure happens.
And Mr. Algalbra, what are you hearing from families about their concerns when it comes to getting justice?
Yeah, as you can imagine, there's a wide range of emotions and demands. Families want to see accountability. They want to see justice. First and foremost, they want to repatriate their loved ones. They want to be able to rest them in peace, and that remains an ongoing process. So that needs to be addressed, I think, in the foremost priority. They support the idea of a thorough, transparent, and credible investigation, and they want to see accountability. So we certainly want to fulfill those desires. We think it's important that the investigation is thorough, and that we think that based on the investigation outcome, that accountability follows through. And I hope that families will be included in this process as we are examining the outcome of the investigation and how to achieve justice.
So Michelle Lamarche at TVA is next, and after that will be Charlie from iPolitics, the striped sweater. So Michelle.
Monsieur Garneau, vous venez de dire lors d'une réponse qu'il y a, on le sait, il y a un missile qui a abattu l'avion. Maintenant, vous avez vu, il y a une vidéo qui circule, authentifiée par le New York Times, où on voit au contraire qu'il y a 2 missiles qui ont atteint l'avion. Est-ce que vous reconnaissez la présence de cette vidéo-là?
Oui, j'ai certainement vu le vidéo. Maintenant, c'est pour ça qu'on veut compléter notre enquête avec toute l'information qui est disponible sur les boîtes noires. Nous croyons que possiblement, ça va nous permettre de savoir plus précisément ce qui s'est passé. Et pour le moment, je crois que c'est important de ne pas arriver à certaines conclusions vis-à-vis de ce qui s'est passé avant d'avoir examiné en détail toute l'information qui est disponible. On espère qu'il va y avoir assez d'informations pour nous pour vraiment dresser un portrait complet de ce qui s'est passé.
Et à votre avis, on ne peut pas dire aujourd'hui que ça soulève de gros doutes sur le fait que cet avion a été abattu de façon accidentelle, le fait de voir que 2 missiles l'ont atteint?
Alors, c'est quelque chose qui fait partie de notre enquête. On veut savoir, c'est vrai que l'Iran a dit que c'était accidentel. On ne sait pas si dans leur procédure, pour quand ils croient qu'il y a un missile qu'ils veulent abattre, si ça fait partie de leur procédure de tirer d'eux. On ne le sait pas encore. Ce sont des questions qui n'ont pas été répondues et on veut aller au fond des choses. C'est une des questions sur laquelle on se penche.
So Charlie from iPolitics is next, and then it'll be Alex Ballingal, the Toronto Star, beside him, which may be hard for the cutaway camera to get to. So, Charlie, please.
Hi, including with this situation now with 2 missiles, it seems that Iran has not came forward with correct information, is one way to put it, on their own. I'm wondering, with them leading the investigation, how much of the information that they give you do you trust? Do you trust them at all?
So investigations are very complex undertakings. It is very, very important to methodically and systematically gather all of the information before you have a full and reliable picture of the situation. There are things coming out all over the place these days, and some of them are clearly less credible than others, but the point is it's important not to jump to conclusions until you really have put all of the information that is available together to know what happened. And so I would encourage people not to overly speculate about the exact scenario that happened, because at this point in time, we don't know what that exact scenario is, despite all the speculation that may be out there and comments that one may see in the media.
But will Canada accept the information it's given by Iran, or will it look to one of its other partner countries to confirm those? I'm just wondering about the level of trust here.
The TSB is a very, very professional organization. It has undertaken many investigations in the past on Canadian soil, and it is an extremely competent organization, and it will be digging for those answers, and as Canada will. And we will not accept a situation where we feel that we're not being given the information that we're looking for. So this remains to be seen as we move forward, but Canada, make no mistake about it, is going to be going to the very bottom of this to get all of the answers that are needed to know exactly what happened.
So Alex Ballingal, the Toronto Star, is next, and after that will be Joël de Bellavance of La Presse. Alex?
Just going back to the arrests that have occurred in Iran with people who are allegedly responsible for firing the missiles. Presumably they're going to go through some judicial process in Iran. But what would Canada like to see the individuals that are named as being responsible be held to account before some other forum like an international court or something? Would Canada like to see them held to international justice as well?
What we want to do is find out exactly what happened, and when we know exactly what happened and who was involved and what decisions were made, then we'll be in a position to speak about what we feel needs to be done to achieve justice.
Can you talk to us about, you want the TSB investigators to be fully accredited. Can you talk about the difference between what they would have access to as accredited members of this investigation versus what they have access to now as not accredited?
So under Annex 13 of the ICAO rules, in the case of a country which had nationals on board who lost their lives, there is a role for the Transportation Safety Board for Canada, and that is to observe and to receive data. The Transportation Safety Board doesn't call it observing, but certainly receive the data. In this particular case, what we would like is to be more fully involved in terms of being present for the downloading of the data and the analysis of the data and fully participate in that. The Transportation Safety Board, of course, is the body responsible for it. It's an independent body whose mandate is to investigate, and it will do that and work with the other countries that are which have the same status, and also with Ukraine and with Iran.
Joël Denis Bellavance from La Presse, and after that will be Jordan Press of the Canadian Press. A lot of presses. JD?
Le gouvernement est prêt à mettre à la disposition des familles, des proches des victimes, un avion pour rapatrier les corps, le rapatriement des corps. Est-ce qu'on veut faire ça le rapidement possible? Est-ce qu'on est prêt à faire des gestes concrets pour aider les familles à rapatrier ces corps au Canada?
C'est certainement quelque chose qu'on est en train d'examiner parce qu'on veut être là de la façon dans laquelle on peut être le plus utile pour ces familles-là qui passent à travers des moments extrêmement difficiles. Alors, c'est quelque chose qu'on est en train d'examiner activement en ce moment.
Deuxième question. Vous avez 2 enquêteurs, je pense, du BST qui sont déjà sur le terrain. Est-ce qu'ils vous ont rapporté des faits que le Canada ne connaissait pas depuis qu'ils sont sur le terrain à Téhéran?
Alors, ces 2 enquêteurs ont aujourd'hui l'occasion d'examiner les débris, si je peux le dire comme ça. Mais, comme vous le savez, le Bureau de la sécurité des transports, quand il fait une enquête, ne révèle pas, avant d'avoir complété leur enquête, leurs conclusions et leurs recommandations. Alors, il ne faudrait pas s'attendre à avoir des résultats hebdomadaires de la part du Bureau de la sécurité des transports. Ils font tout leur travail, et puis c'est comme ça que ça devrait être fait.
Minister, I had the comments that some of Iran's leaders have made today in regards to the nuclear deal, and I'm curious how that might affect or influence tomorrow's meeting.
So, could you be a little bit more specific?
In regards to making the warnings against European soldiers, for instance, that talk about not going into sanctions of the Iran nuclear deal, I'm just curious how that tough talk might now affect the way that discussions take place tomorrow in trying to get accountability and a justice from a country that is making these strong statements.
I would say to you it's not going to affect the way it is, the way that the 5 countries tomorrow are going to meet in London. And of course, our troops over in that part of the world are always in the highest state of vigilance anyway.
And the other question, just to follow up on the video of the 2 missiles that has been confirmed by a number of outlets, does the government of Canada, in the intelligence that the Prime Minister was relying on in his statement about a missile hitting this plane, is in that intelligence there's something to suggest that there were 2 missiles that were fired at this airplane?
I can't go into details on that.
Next question is Abigail Beeman of Global National, and then our final question will be Tom Perry. So, Abigail?
Your government has mentioned a few times how remuneration is an important part of justice. I'm wondering how hard Canada will push Iran to remunerate these families, if there's any sort of time frame, and what you'd be asking for.
I will just say again in a general way that one of the requirements from Canada's point of view, along with justice, is compensation. Compensation to be provided by those that stand guilty of being playing a role in this tragic accident. But let's do the homework first, and then we'll get to that.
And I also wanted to ask you, you spoke to this in French, but in English, these concerns that we're hearing from some dual national families that Iran won't help repatriate if they hold dual Canadian-Iranian citizenship. Is that the case?
So Minister Champagne was very clear yesterday. From our point of view, a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, as you've heard us say perhaps 1,000 times, and we believe very strongly in that. So in our view, the 57 Canadians that lost their life tragically are Canadian citizens, and they are entitled to all the rights that Canadian citizens have, and we will do our utmost to make sure that those rights are accorded to them.
I just need to apologize. I missed Virginie from Radio Canada, so if we could go to Tom Perry and then wrap with Virginie. So Tom Perry, CBC National Radio News, please.
Minister Garneau, can I just ask you, have there been any limits placed on what our TSB inspectors can see there? Are they seeing all that they want to see? And also, what more does Canada need in order to come to, I guess, a full picture of what happened in this case?
So I will defer to Kathy Fox, the president of the TSB, to answer that question, because it is she and her team that are conducting our Canadian part of this investigation. So it wouldn't be appropriate for me to speak. And to your more general question, as happens in investigations when tragic events like this happen, is the full picture requires us to understand exactly what happened. That comes from a combination of black boxes, obviously. It comes from also looking at the debris field and the debris itself, and also surrounding circumstances that may have led to a particular event to occur. The Transportation Safety Board is an extremely professional organization. They are there to get those answers, and I would recommend that you speak to the Transportation Safety Board with your questions.
And Mr. Alghabra, can I just ask you, I know that compensation could take a long time. So is there any thought to the Canadian government providing some kind of interim compensation to the families in the short term?
So we are actively exploring these options, and we hope a decision will be made in short order.
When?
No, I don't, but I think it'll happen soon.
Oui, juste vous entendre, s'il vous plaît, en français, sur le rapatriement des corps, savoir on en est où, quelles étapes ont été faites, quelles étapes restent à faire, s'il vous plaît.
Alors, on est au début du processus. Bien sûr, c'est quelque chose qui est urgent pour les familles des victimes, mais c'est un processus qui doit passer à travers certaines étapes. D'abord, l'identification des dépouilles, c'est quelque chose qui est extrêmement important, et dans certains cas, il faut de l'information supplémentaire, l'ADN, dans certains cas, pour confirmer qui la personne pourrait être, ou la dépouille. Alors ça, c'est quelque chose qui doit être fait. Et il faut travailler avec le gouvernement de l'Iran, qui a présentement les dépouilles en sa possession, et bien sûr d'autres étapes reliées au fait qu'à un moment donné, la décision doit être prise par les familles des victimes, à savoir s'ils veulent rapatrier au Canada les dépouilles. Alors ça, c'est un autre aspect. Et aussi, il y a des familles au Canada qui veulent aller en Iran, bien sûr, pour voir les dépouilles. Alors, toutes ces choses-là sont en marche en ce moment, et puis ça va prendre un peu de temps, et puis on va le faire le plus rapidement possible.
Puis à votre connaissance, est-ce que le régime iranien va imposer ou pourrait imposer aux familles des victimes des conditions pour récupérer ces dépouilles?
Des conditions pour récupérer les dépouilles. À notre avis, si ce sont des citoyens aux citoyennes canadiennes qui ont perdu la vie dans cet accident. Ce sont les familles qui prendront la décision s'ils veulent rapatrier les dépouilles, et le Canada sera là pour insister que ce soit le cas.
Thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Assume we'll see you soon.